Okay, hello. I'm Golden from Kajaani Business School, and today I'm glad to have Minh Gooseman here, the co-creator of the legendary Counter-Strike with me. So Minh, it has been almost 15 years from the creation of Counter-Strike in 1999. Yeah. So, well, I have to admit that thanks to you, lots of my time in secondary and high school. Wasted all, well, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that a lot, yeah.
How did you really get into
gaming?
Counter-Strike?
Well, actually, before I made Counter-Strike, I made a few other games, and I was always playing games when I was a kid, so it was kind of natural for me to make games because it was always kind of an interesting industry for me. So I think I started when I was like 17, and I started making like graphics for other games, and I think when I made Counter-Strike, I was like studying university, second year university. And,
so,
kind of.
At the moment you made Counter-Strike, how long had you been
working on games?
Yeah?
I think it's only been 2 years. Actually, I only worked on games at the time for 3 years, at a very amateur level. So I was very, not very professional.
So now you have had almost 20 years.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I've been making games.
You had a master now. 10,000 hours rooms, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I'm still learning. There's still so much different aspects of making games. Like, I'm not like just a one kind of dimensional developer. I actually like to do programming, and I like to do art as well. So there's just so much to learn and improve my skills on. So every day I'm always getting better at different areas. So it's always a challenge, but I love it though. I mean, I love making games. It's one of those things that you creatively it's very fulfilling.
Yeah, well, good to hear that. Kind of attitude for a master student, a student master. Master is always learning. So how do you feel now about Counter-Strike? 15 years.
Yeah, it's kind of weird looking on. To be honest, it's kind of I don't really think too much about it because it's kind of it's in the past, and I don't even work on it. I don't play it anymore, and it's kind of it's someone else's game, and it's been maintained by someone else. So I think I have positive memories of it, but at the same time, I don't really spend much time thinking about the past. But when I do meet people that play it, it's always kind of it's a nice to meet new people that have had their lives affected by Counter-Strike. So it's a cool feeling.
Yeah, well, I bet you may have felt sometimes that it's too big a thing that may weigh you down. I mean, I saw one of your interviews say that that Counter-Strike has grown so stable and so popular to the players that they don't want changes, don't want too much changes. And well, they crave something new, but not radical changes, and that can be stressful for you.
It is, I think, for anyone that's developing Counter-Strike, or the company that's developing it at the moment develops, they probably have a really big task ahead of them. But they're actually very smart about it. They're not very they don't really push too much change on the game. They understand that a lot of players don't want the game to change that much, and they just want a kind of a gradual improvements to the game, like just like very, very subtle changes, nothing that really changes the core gameplay of it. So I think the company Valve have done a really wonderful job in that aspect. It's not easy keeping everyone happy. So because I mean, if you look at it right now, I mean, like there's still people that play the old Counter-Strike, like the Counter-Strike from 10 years ago, 1.6.
We still play a lot.
It's still a lot of players. It's not just like a small amount. It's actually quite a few. Like if you think about, like if you look at all the people that are playing Counter-Strike, I think there's 3 different versions right now. There's like CS:GO, there's CS Source, and there's like CS 1.6. Like I think around like 100,000 players are playing the CS:GO at any given time, and I think 30,000 are playing CS Source, and like maybe another 30,000 are playing. So that's still a lot of people playing the old versions. So it just comes. It just proves the point that you're never able to satisfy everybody. Everyone wants their own. Like they're unwilling to learn new things because they're just so. They've spent so much time getting good at that one game that they don't want to move on to another challenge. So it's an interesting thing. Very interesting. But I guess that's how esports works, or sports in general. I mean, when you play like football or play soccer for like 20 years. You don't want to learn baseball. It's you know, it's the rules are different, and you're so good at it. It's like you're giving up all those 20 years you spent playing the other game. So I think in that sense it makes sense why we still see this fragmented community.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. So then you're aware that there are always higher levels to aspire to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it must be a difficult decision for you to leave Valve to experiment and.
I think at the time it wasn't a difficult decision. I think at the time I was kind of, because at the time they weren't really working on a new version of Counter-Strike. They were working on some other projects, and they weren't like that interesting to me. So I wanted to just get back to something similar to Counter-Strike, and that's kind of how I started the game tactical intervention. But unfortunately, you know, it didn't pan out. It didn't work out as I imagined, and it was just a huge challenge because you know, developing the game on my own with another company in Korea was difficult because we ran into a lot of issues with regards to recruiting just talent, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was something that I kind of look on as sort of I'm proud of what I achieved because I kind of like the game. I mean, I do like the game. I'm you know, I'm proud of what it became. It was it had everything that I had envisioned that it would be. But like commercially, it didn't do well, and like we weren't able to compete with CS:GO. And not many people can compete with CS:GO, so it was kind of a bittersweet loss.
Right, so some kind of experiment where you just explore and try to put in tactical intervention to every feature that you had wished in the past.
And I was able to do it. I mean, we succeeded in implementing everything that I wanted to do, but you know, it didn't catch on with a lot of players. You know, some people thought it was too different, or they just weren't looking for that. You know, they wanted something a bit more Counter-Strike-ish. Anyways, yeah, that's just something that I kind of just recently actually just moved on from. So,
So what are you hoping to accomplish now?
No, I'm just, you know, I'm just after tactical intervention. It's been like 7 years working on that project, so I'm actually kind
7 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a long time.
It is.
Almost
so
a decade.
it takes a lot out of you. You know, when you spend that much time on one thing, and you know it doesn't really succeed, you're kind of like mentally just really tired, and I just kind of want to work on something not as stressful, and something that's a bit more simple and you know straightforward. So so yeah, that's what I'm looking for next in my life. So.
No, but I'm sure deep down in hindsight, you don't think that's a waste of time because you've learned something from the
I
project
suppose.
7
Yeah,
years,
I mean that's true. I did learn a lot, and I did grow, and I saw a lot of terrible things. But you know, if I could, you know, travel back in time 7 years ago, I wouldn't do it.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't worth it. Just too many mistakes. But I mean, at the same time, there's a lot of things that I learned. So I mean, it wasn't a complete loss, but still, it's something that I don't really, you know, I don't really look as with great pride.
Yeah. Well.
But anyways, that's life. You know, I mean, like you make a lot of mistakes, and you just kind of hopefully learn from them, and you know, you just put yourself in a position to get back up and try again on another endeavor, because you can't always succeed at everything you do. You know, you're gonna have failures. I think the important thing is to really recognize when something is failing, and just kind of have the courage to walk away from it. You know, because I've seen a lot of people, they kind of stick to these projects, and you know it's going down, you see it going down, and you just kind of say you should just walk away and just cut your losses and just start again, because you know, you're wasting a lot of time.
It's like gambling,
It is. Like, and I think that's one of the things that I kind of made a mistake on, because I think about 2 years ago, I kind of saw TI was kind of like, this isn't going to make it, this is not going to succeed. So, but I just kind of like, in the back of my head, I was like, I didn't want to quit it, because I wanted to just keep trying. But, you know, a part of me kind of regrets that. You know, I think I should have just said, you know, I could have walked away and saved 2 years of my life and started over on another project. But, you know, life is full of mistakes, so yeah. Yeah,
no, was that telepathy? Because you almost touched a question.
I was just reading.
Oh yeah, well.
No, I'm kidding.
So, what else? If you had to do it all over, what else would you have done to save lots of hazels?
I would have been much more patient with my, like, business context, because I think one of the challenges that I faced when I left Valve was I had to meet new connections in the business sector, just to be able to grow my own company and to be able to hire talent. I had to make connections with other people who would help me to do that, So I wasn't very good at that, I was kind of like, I didn't really do my homework in terms of like working with the right people. I just sort of met this guy and he gave me an offer and I said, okay, I'll go for that. And I was like, in retrospect, I can't believe how stupid that was, because it was just, it was almost like, it was just basically very naive and just so, it's just, but I think that's one of my weaknesses. I'm very gullible, or I don't know, gullible, but I'm very, you give me an offer and you say, hey, this is gonna happen, and then I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I'm like, so I think I need to work on that a bit more and be a bit more cautious when it comes to working with people in the business sector, because there's a lot of people out there, man. They're just they're just bloody sharks. They're just it's true. I mean, before you get out of when I got out of school, you never experience anything. These things. You're in school, you study, everything's very simple, very cut and dry, and you deal with people who are very honest. Because in school nobody tries to cheat you, but as soon as you leave school, just there's all these people that are just trying to take advantage of what you've done or what you can possibly do, and they use your reputation to further their own gains, and it's going to happen to a lot of people out there, and hopefully people that see this, they can hopefully learn to avoid this, or just be more cautious with yourself, and take your time when dealing with others, and because it's a very tough world out there, and you're going to meet a lot of people that are just very, they talk a lot, and they're very convincing, and they say a lot of nice things, and they'll say, I hope in 2 years you and I, we're going to be sailing the oceans of like the Monaco or some shit like that. But it's very dangerous for young people, and myself, I just kind of like, I just fell for it, because I was just kind of, I didn't know any better, I always try to see the good in people, I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt when I talk to someone. I always assume that they're telling me the truth, But after my experiences working on tactical intervention and meeting a lot of the people that, really are just not very ethical when it comes to their behavior. They're not morally sound. I'll be honest with you. And I mean, part of it sounds like I'm kind of pointing fingers and just making blames. But it's just very, very difficult for me to defend a lot of the people that I work with. Though I have met a lot of nice people in the industry, but the amount of jerks that I met was just really, really. It kind of took me by surprise, So, but it's made me kind of more aware of what I'm dealing with. So in my next, if I were to make another project or work on another game, I'm not going to be as stupid, I'm not going to be as let's do this, It's just going to be more like, let's think about it. Let's do a bit of homework and let's do some research on who you're working with. But that's always the difficult thing, when you meet someone, a business person or someone, and he doesn't really have, how do you do research on him? Like, how do you find his background? Like, he doesn't always have a website. What are you gonna do? Like, stalk him? So it's very difficult to really fully tell if someone is telling the truth or not. So you really got to be careful when you're dealing with people in general. So it's just my advice to people, kids out there, or just people out there that are going out into the world and dealing with people, other people. It's just like, don't commit yourself. Don't commit yourself to one person. Like, don't ever sign a contract that says, okay, now I'm gonna work with you for like forever or for like X amount of years, and that's just stupid. And that was my biggest mistake.
Yeah, I see.
I was just too trusting.
Well, but you're now more savvy, but I think you still retain some of that nice quality, because it's quite easy for me to contact you, because I know many business people, they are always very busy. Oh, I don't have time for you, and you're just a student, and
I actually enjoy
really
talking
appreciate
to you.
that.
I enjoy talking to the younger generation about the stuff that I worked on, because hopefully maybe in 10 years you learn these, you can use this information to avoid some of the mistakes that I made. That's always my hope.
So now, boil down to only 3 advices. If you could give to someone who has just started their career in their 20s, whether game students in the school or a business student like me who wants to work with game developers like you, so what would those be advices?
I think number one is, the most important thing is, whatever you're doing in your industry, whatever you do, whether it's like making games or doing business or frying hamburgers or something,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be confident in your own skills. You have to be aware of what you're capable of. Also, you should really network. I think that's the biggest advice I would give. So number one is you really want to network with other people within your industry and meet a lot of people, because the more connections that you have in the industry, the better you're able to make decisions on who to work with. Because that was my problem. I just met this one dude and I was I didn't know anybody else.
You happen to be a jerk.
Exactly. So if I just took my time and met more and more people, I could have sort of at least be able to have a pool of different people that I could have worked with. So I think that's one of the biggest problems that I see with a lot of younger people coming in the industry. They don't do as much networking. They think that they can just handle it all on their own. They think that I've got enough of the talent and the skills to make it on my own. And I mean, it's true that anyone, they can probably have a lot of talent, but the thing is, you need more than talent to actually succeed in this world. You need good connections, and you need to be able to work with the right people that can get you in touch with others who can market your talent. Because having talent is one thing, because being able to market your talent is actually critical. Because and that's another thing I want to touch on is being able to market yourself is really crucial in this day and age, especially in the game industry, because the game industry has become so saturated that it's just so difficult for you to gain any exposure, or to because if you look at iTunes or you look at any of these stores, at the Android store, you go in there and there's just literally just an avalanche of games, and you just which one do you look at, which one do you play? And as a game developer, when you're making a game, you're trying to make yourself known. How do you get any exposure? So in that regard, it's really important to work with the right channels where you can work with someone that can expose what you're working on, and if it's decent, then it's going to grow there. Because I've seen a lot of good products that just don't get noticed, and that's a shame. Because if this guy worked with a decent marketer or a decent publisher, or somewhere he can get some exposure, he could have done much better. So you see this a lot in the industry. You see a lot of people that just kind of they have the skill, they have the talent, they make great products, but they just don't have the marketing, and no one knows about it.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, it's sad. Yeah, it's really sad. So everyone thinks that it'll just go viral, like Flappy Birds, but you can't expect things to go viral. I mean, things will only go viral once in every 3 or 4 months. It's like it's just, I mean, society is just so unpredictable that to expect your product to go viral is just, in this day and age, is kind of stupid. Yeah.
Right.
And people get lucky. I mean, like with Counter-Strike, I'll admit, that was a lot of luck. It was 90% luck.
Right.
It went viral because it came out at the right time. There's no other game out there like that. And when I made the game, I wasn't like predicting that this was going to be a huge thing. I was just like, I want to play this game. I make this game. And wow, look, it just went viral.
And just did something you love.
Exactly. I mean, if you talk to the guy that made Flappy Birds, I don't think he would say he predicted that. Nobody can really predict that. It's just he's very. I would imagine that he's very surprised at it. So I was very surprised at CS.
Right.
But so I think so being able to market your game or market your product is hugely important. And thirdly, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think that what I touched on earlier is recognizing when something is not gonna succeed. Recognizing when something is failing, and having the courage to just walk away from it.
Right. Yeah.
Because I know a lot of myself personally. When you invest so much time in a project and you it becomes your child, right? You're like, I can't let this thing go away. You want to give it 100%.
It's hard to let go.
It is, because it's kind of like you always have this hope that the more time and effort you put into it, the better chance that it might actually succeed. But it's dangerous, because sometimes you reach a point where you just, no matter how much more time and effort you put into it, something is, no matter what, it's not gonna succeed. So sometimes it's better just to recognize that point at which you've just given up. You put too much time and effort into something, and you've done all the marketing, and it's just not catching on. You just have to accept the fact that this is a failure, and it's time to move on, and just because life is short. It's never too late to just start over again. But the more time you spend working on a failure, the less time you spend working on your next project that could potentially be a hit, you know. Because I mean, one of the things with Rovio is like people always say, "Oh, Angry Birds, man, those guys are geniuses. They made Angry Birds." But people don't look at what they made before Angry Birds, right? It's like they made like 51. So people don't see that, and they don't realize they failed a lot before that. So in order for them to make Angry Birds, they had to, they had to quickly fail and realize when a failure is failing. So that's a really important part of any industry. So I think something I hope people that watch this can really relate to and just say, if something fails, you just gotta walk away and just let it go. Because it's really kind of disgusting. Well, not disgusting, but it's really kind of embarrassing seeing some dude just constantly hammer at a project and saying, "Wow, this thing's a piece of crap." You gotta just walk away from that. I've seen it a lot. I mean, to be honest, I'm guilty of it. With my past projects, it was just kind of like,
Yeah, so have the courage to walk away, however painful it might be.
It is painful. Yeah.
So we'll talk today at Kajaani Gaming, April.
Yeah, because am I late?
No, you're not.
I spent so much time there.
What is it going to be about?
Well,
like, just in a few sentences, because I'm going to listen to you, so
it's
don't
just
give me too much.
just like basically, it's going to be about the general, the past 15 years that I spent working on games and just sort of what I've seen in the industry, and hopefully the students can sort of take that information, sort of help them to decide what they want out of the gaming industry. I don't want to scare anybody off, but I just want to prepare them that there are certain things that they need to watch out for, and it's not like just because I think 10 years ago people can just make a game and then they just put it out there and there's a really good chance it will succeed. But these days it's just so saturated. There's so many gaming developers that it's very, very risky, as an independent startup company to really succeed. I mean, there's just so many failures out there.
Right.
Anyways, that's my talk for, at Kajaani,
Cool.
so hopefully you can check that out.
Last questions. So the other co-creator of Counter-Strike is Cliff?
Just Cliffy,
Just Cliff, right. So you and him recorded the voice in Counter-Strike yourself?
No, actually he did all the voices, right.
So can you do some voice over now?
Yeah. The thing is, he did all the voices, though they sounded all cool. I initially at one point I did the voices, but we both agreed that he sounded better than I did. So,
try it.
Fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole.
Yeah, so he has a more manly voice. I'm not ashamed to admit. Yeah, so he's become kind of an iconic voice now, and it's cool. He actually does the voices for the new CS:GO as well. So everyone expects it to sound like him now. So it's kind of weird.
It's classic.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. He still works at Valve.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Looking forward to your talk.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too boring. Thank you.